Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Greetings to all. Dear students, I am Muhammad Habibur Rahman, lecturer, Department of English at Joshua Government City College, Joshua. Would like to welcome to you all to the another online video lecture of National University of Bangladesh. Hopefully, staying at home, you are following this video lecture attentively and continuing your study well. So let's start our today's discussion. Dear students, you have already known that during this corona pandemic, National University has arranged this online video lecture for you. And as a resource person, I am continuously with you. Today, I am here with you with my third lecture. You know, this lecture is for the students of Master's Preliminary Level and Department of English. You know, I am dealing with the course named Romantic Poetry. You know, in my last class, I discussed the poem of William Wordsworth, that is Tintern Abbey. Today, I am going to discuss on the world is too much with us and another poem or sonnet, London 18 and 2. So, let's start our discussion. Hopefully, you will be with me. At first, I will show you, as usual, the learning outcome. You know today's learning outcome. At first, you will find the introduction to the poet William Wordsworth, then introduction to the poem. The first poem is "The World is Too Much with Us," and later on, you will find the poem London 18 and 2. Then we'll discuss summary of the poems, subject matters of the poem, themes of the poem, form or writing style of the poem, speciality of the poem, and at last we'll find a new question analysis. Today, actually, we have the busy time, so that is why we have to be so fast. So at first, I will show you the introduction to the poet. You know, today's poet is William Wordsworth, and you know William Wordsworth is a romantic poet and is the earlier leader of Romanticism. You know, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. So this is the core definition of poetry, and that is given by William Wordsworth, and is a very celebrated poet of nature. Here also, I will show you another slide for William Wordsworth. You know, lyrical ballads, that is the testimony of romantic poetry, and this lyrical ballad is written by William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So this is the really this is the main feature of romantic poetry that is found in lyrical ballad. And this poem, this today's poem, also included in the poetry lyrical ballads. So let's start our poem today. So now I will show you the introduction to the poem, the first poem, today's first poem. So the name of the poem is "The World is Too Much with Us." The poem is published in 18 and 7. This belong to, you know, romantic poetry. You know, romantic poetry starts in 1798 to 1932. So here it is a sonnet, you know, sonnet, and written by William Wordsworth. Here in this poem, the poet laments for the aloof connection between uh, humankind and nature, and blaming industrial society for replacing that connection with material pursuit. Wordsworth wrote the poem during the first industrial revolution, a period of technological and mechanical invention spanning the mid 18th and 19th century. You know, in this poem, basically, you know, Wordsworth is a poet of nature, but in this poem, here, the William Wordsworth will be very much sorrowful for the disconnection of nature from man. So this is the very sorrowful things for William Wordsworth in this poem. You find the name, the world is too much with us. So here actually the world is too much boring, or the world is too much busy, that we cannot cope with this uh, world. So this type of things, this type of meaning we find later on. So here another slide for the poem. Actually, the poem is the criticism of the materialistic world in man has lost his connection with nature due to the worldly concerns. And this sense in man has taken away their pleasure, joys, comforts, and the peaceful nature. So here you will find the images related to the poem. Actually, this is the criticism. In this poem, the writer criticizes the materialistic world of man, and we are, as a man, we are uh, detached from nature. So this is the very much unexpected, and this is very much sorrowful as a poet of nature. So now I will show you the critical analysis of the poem. So this is the poem, this is the sonnet, and a sonnet consists of 14 lines. So I will show you 14 lines. The first two lines here. The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending will waste our power. So in the first two lines, we see the world is too much busy, or the world is too much complicated, that and late and soon. That means in past or in future. So everywhere we are getting and spending. We are very busy to get and to spend, and basically we are wasting our power. So this is the, actually this is the burden of the world. Here the poet says, you find the poem opens with a complaint saying that mankind or society is a burden on the world, and that people are destroying themselves with consumption, just getting and spending. And the world life in the city contemporary society is just too much, as it is too much for me, and I cannot take it anymore. So this is the main idea of the poem. Another critical idea, third and fourth line. The third line shows, little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. So here you find that the poem's tone to complaints continues as the speaker describes the crack between nature and humanity. There is a huge difference between nature and humanity. This is the symbolic picture, and here you find a sordid boon. We have given our hearts away, our hearts away. So we have, we don't have our heart in nature. So we are really are sordid. Sordid, it is a word that means base or vile. And boon is a reward. But we have reward, but that is sordid, that is base or vile. So the speaker is being sarcastic here, almost as if he were saying, wow, it's a great that we have handle over our hearts. So like Dr. Faustus, isn't it? So it is very much sorrowful that we are detached from nature. The fifth, sixth, and seventh line now. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are up gathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. So this line suggests here the writer gives the description of nature. Here he says, this sea that bears with bosom to the moon. So sea is always sea always have the affinity with the moon. The wind is howling all the hours, and up gathering like the sleeping flowers. There is a flowers. For this everything, there is everything available in the nature, but we we are out of tune, but that is means we are detached from the nature. So nature is always there, but we do not go to nature. So this is the sorrowful. So this is the really hurtful for Wordsworth as a poet of nature. So this is the symbolic image here you find. So this is the alienation, actually the man's alienation from nature, claiming that humanity is no longer inclined to influence of the sea. So we are not interested to see, we are not interested to win, we are not interested to nature, but we only interested to money, we only interested to busy life or business or material success. So that is why the poet says we are out of tune. So we are out of tune here sense that we are we don't have the task with nature. So next line, line number 9, it moves us not, it moves us not. So, great gods, I would rather be a pagan, shackles in a creed outrun. So here the writers is very much sorrowful. So that is why he pray to great God. Here the great God actually refers to the Christian God, Jesus Christ, and he says he would rather be a pagan. Pagan, pagan is a one type of old or ancient religion that is a contrast with Christianity or Muslim. And actually it is a polytheism that is related to the various gods like sea, nature, etc. So here writer says that, oh God, oh Jesus Christ, I should leave you and I should to be a pagan so that I have a close affinity with nature. So here speaker appeals to Christian God, Christian God Jesus Christ, and says he would rather be a pagan. Pagan actually the polytheism, or pagan is the very much opposite to Christianity or Muslim, who was raised believing in some antique or outrun, that is antique, ancient or primitive religion. Such just means nuts or breast or encourage. The line 11, so might I, standing on this pleasantly, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. So here the writer says, if he is pagan, so that times he have the sons, and he have the sons to stand on the pleasantly this is the sea, or this is the land. So they are full of nature. So uh, the poet wants to be a pagan for the sake of nature, and so that he cannot be forlorn or lonely, because he has the task with nature. So this is the speaker explain actually why he would rather be a pagan. If he were, then he could look at the land in front of him and see something that wouldn't make him feel so lonely or sad. This is the personal opinion of William Wordsworth. So last two lines here you find, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wrath on. So this is the example of allusion, the reference of ancient mythological or any other famous writing is in another writing will be called, such type of references will be called as allusion, literary term. So here I have sight of Proteus, this belongs to paganism or Triton, another mythological character. Here this is the description and this is the picture here. This is the image of Proteus and this is the image of Triton. So we'll find here the description. Proteus Proteus is a sea god in Greek mythology, mythology or mythology. He had the ability to prophesy the future, but didn't like doing it. It someone grabbed a hold of him and tried to make him predict the future. He would change his shape and try to get away. So this is the images of Proteus. So here the writer, if a writer go to the nature that times or see that times, he will have the sight of Proteus or old Triton. So here Triton, who is Triton? Triton was a son of Poseidon, the Greek god of sea. He had the conch shell. This is the conch shell, you see here, that he blew into in order to excite or calm the wave. So they are the god, and here writers wants to have want to go to the nature to have the sight of the charming sight or charming nature. So that is why here the writer want to be a pagan. So this is the all for critical analysis of the poem. Now I will show you another some critical analysis here. The speaker of the poem criticized that the world is too devastating for us to appreciate it. That means the world is too much devastating, too much busy, that we cannot appreciate it, we cannot praise it, we cannot cope with it. So here the material world that of the city outjoys our innumerable financial obligations, controls our lives to an unhealthy degree. People are always rushing from one things to the next. They earn money. They only want money. One day just to spend the next. They earn money today and spend the next day. Today and next day. So this is the way spending and earning and spending. There is nothing else. They are so concerned about the time and money that they use up all their energy. People want to accumulate stuff, so they see nothing in nature. So that is why there is no affinity with nature that they can own. According to the speaker, actually we have sold our souls. That is like Dr. Foster's, to have the power, to have the uh, creativity or power, everything. He sold his soul. So it is like that. Another slide you see in the poem, actually the poet says that we have lost the ability to connect with, find tranquility in nature in exchange for material gain. So this is the material gains, that is this is the person, but he needs a lot of things here, but there is no images of that person, only the material things. So in exchange for material gain, we have given away our emotion and liveliness. This ocean that reflects the moonlight on its surface, and the peaceful monetarily what is night, which is like flowers whose petals are folded up in cold. This natural feature exist, but we just can't appreciate them. Our lives have nothing to do with the rhythm of natural world. As a result, this rhythm have no emotional impact on us. So this is very much uh, sorrowful for us that we are totally detached from nature. So that is why the writer says, oh God, my God, I wish that I were raised in a culture that worship in many gods. So this actually the poet here wants to worship many gods for the sake of only nature, not nothing else here. Though the region is now outdated. That way, standing on this pleasant path of grass, I might be calmed and heartened by the image of the ocean before me. I might see the Greek god Proteus taking shape before my very eyes, or hear the another Greek god Triton below my legendary spiritual group's conch shell. So that is very important idea. So for the sake of nature, the poet have the tendency to sense his religion. So this is very what should I say, very personal things, but it is very much emotional things for the nature. How the poet loves nature, it proves. Now, theme of the poem. The one of the main theme of William Wordsworth, man and the natural world. In the previous poetry, we also find this theme. There are a lot of references to nature in The World is Too Much With Us. The speaker refers to sea twice. Here you will find the sea, you will find the sun or natural scenery. And here, actually, the poet doesn't criticize the man's destruction of nature. In fact, that people are no longer moved by natural worlds makes it figuratively dead. So here, the relation between man and natural world is absent. So that is why the writer writes this poem in that way. Another theme, technology and modernization. You know, this is the age of technology or age of modernization. So that is why we are too much busy for money or having time. We just getting and spending. So that is why the poet says here that the world is too much big for us, that we cannot handle it. But even it might be nice to have indoor plumbing or wide variety of shops to visit to weekend. We go to the various shopping. We go, at weekend we go to shopping, but we have no time to go to nature. So that is why in this poem we also find side by side nature. We also find the task of technology and modernization that make us different from nature, but it shouldn't be. Another theme of the poem is sadness. You know, the speaker of the world is too much with us is not happy about the way things are. He makes no secret of it. He thinks we have given our hearts away and eventually exclaim, Great God. So the tone of the poem is elegiac like, because you know why it should be elegiac. You know, elegy is a mourning for the dead. So here the writer is mourning for the absence of nature with man. So that is why the tone of the poem is elegiac. And at the last or at the end of the poem, the speaker tells that forlorn distress at what he sees and would rather be pagan so that he wouldn't feel so sad. So he can change his religion for the sake of nature. So that is why here the writer is very sad. So sadness is another important theme of the poem. Another theme of the poem is mortality. You know, so nothing in literature in the world is too much with us, but the speaker suggests that humanity alienation from nature is a kind of double death. So this is very important. I think, and because people are obsessed with getting and spending and they are moved by nature, and that makes they aren't moved by nature, and that makes them dead. So if we do not go to the nature, so that times we will be like a dead. So that is why the writer here mentions the theme of mortality in this poem. That is another important thing. So now, actually, today I have to discuss two poems, two sonnets. So that is why I have to be very busy. And now, another poem, you know, London 18 and 2 is a poem. Basically, it is a Peterson sonnet, you know. And later slide I will show the definition by the English Romantic poet William Wordsworth. In the poem, you know, Wordsworth categorized the English people as stagnant and selfish and praises the 17th century poet John Milton. So, in this poem, actually, the poem also called to Milton. You know, John Milton is a famous English writer of 17th century, you know, and he's famous for Paradise Lost, you know. So in this poem, here the writers also criticize the people of London today, and he uh, calls for John Milton so that he can rescue this present bad situation of the people of London. So here, basically, we will find two things. One thing is the bad condition of London, and another thing to have the help from John Milton, the great poet, English poet of 17th century. So now we should discuss something about John Milton, because this poem is totally depends on John Milton. You know John Milton, born in 1608, and he's a very famous person. He writes poetry in Latin, Italian, and English. You know, and his famous poem or epic poem, you know, blank verse epic poem. That is why he is famous. That is Paradise Lost in 1667, and you know another edition, Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained. So this is the very famous about John Milton, and you know he has a record of historical record. He has the very common feature, and he has the common power to convince the people, and he has a strong will and honesty to make the people or society neat and clean. So that is why John Milton is very much readable for William Wordsworth. Now I will show you a video that is for text of the poem, today's text of the poem. So this is the poem you will find here. To London 18 and 2. So you will find the text of the poem. The first line, Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour. England has need of thee. So here the writers ask Milton that you should living at this hour. And England had need of thee. She is a fan of stagnant water, altar, shore, and pain. Foresight and heroic wealth of the Hollander have forbade their ancient English door. Of inward happiness we are selfish men. Oh, rise up and return to us again and give us manners, virtues, and freedom. So here we need to pause here. So this is the you know, in sonnet you have two section. This is the first section, and there will be second section. So, so from 1 to 8 octave, and 9 to 14, that is sestic. So now I will discuss from 1 to 8, and this is the rhyme scheme, you know, rhyme pattern. A B B A A B B A. So this is the rhyme scheme of the poem. So here the writer, William Wordsworth, calls for Milton, and he says, Milton, thou, you, shouldst be living at this hour, because England has need of thee. England needs you. Why? Because England is a fan now. Fan, you know, a fan of stagnant water. This is the some time of some such type of things that is like in Bangla. This is the doba, you know, and there will be a stagnant water. So watery locality, and it is a stagnant, you know, stagnant unflowing waters. She refers to England here. And altar, you know, altar, that is the holy place, religious place. Showed, you know, soldiers, are, that is military forces. And pen means here, pens here, so refers to the literary skills. Okay. And fire slide, that is domestic. And the heroic wealth of Holland, Boer of England, you know, here halls so refers to the men, and boers refers to the women, and their heroic wealth. So everything. So this altered sword, Spain, side, the heroic wealth of Hull and Boer. So these things of England now have fortified their ancient English border. So here have fortified, actually 40 forfeited, forfeited, that is lost, or that is so destroyed their ancient English devorer. Devorer means here the blessing, or the prize, or the prize. So so they have lost their ancient English devourer. English has a very great or very rich past, but the present people of England, the present condition of English is very much bad. So that is why the writer wants Milton, so that he can rescue England from this such type of deplorable condition and door up endure happiness. So English has the ancient English, so dweller have inward happiness, but today's England, people of England, there is no inward happiness. So that is why the writer says like this. And now we are selfish men. Sorry, we here refers to the people of England. So people of England now, the contemporary time of Wordsworth, they are selfish men. Oh, raise up. So that is why he urges to Milton, please raise us up, return to us again, and give us manners versus freedom and power. So here, this is very important, and this is the phrase of Milton, because Milton has such type of good things, that is good manner, virtue, freedom, and power. And he is the ability to convince the people. He is the ability, honest ability to make the people happy. So that is why the poet William Wordsworth wants Milton, so that he can rise up and return us to again, and he gives us manners versus freedom and power. So these feelings or this type of praise is very much rare, that that is desirable for John Milton from William Wordsworth. Now the last section, Sestek, the line of 9. Thy soul was like a star and dealt apart. Thou heardst a voice whose sound was like the sea, and pure as the necked heaven's majestic free. So didst thou travel on life's common way in cheerful godliness, and yet thy heart the lowest duties on herself did lay. So here you find at first the rhyme pattern or rhyme scheme A B B C A C. This is the very typical rhyme pattern of William Wordsworth, of sonnet, the Patterson sonnet. We'll discuss later. So now we'll discuss the meaning of this poem here. So thy soul of Milton souls is like a star and dual apart. So here the Milton is comparable to star, and thou heardst a voice. So Milton, you has the voice whose sound was like a sea, pure as a necked heaven. So it is like a heaven, pure heaven, and majestic and free. And it is thou travel on life's common way. But you have the here, the writer Wordsworth says that you have the uh, voice, or you have the ability, like sea, this is the simile, and heaven and majestic free mentality or capability or power, but you travel on life a common way. So you have a lot of power, Milton, you have a lot of power, but you lead a very common way of life in cheerful goodness, and yet thy heart the lowest duties on herself did lay. Here herself the London. So Milton has the heart, and that is very much highest, but he always, even he has the power, or he has the uh, highest ability or power or capability, but he can do any type of duties on herself for England. So that is why the writer here asks uh, for Milton, so that he can save the country of England. So this is very much very significant. I think you can understand here. Actually, here the writer William Wordsworth wants Milton, wants Milton's to have uh, rescue to rescue England from this bad condition, that that Milton has the ability in future. The next stanza, next line. So we have very limited time. So this is over. This is all. Now I will show you the central idea of the poem. So here the central idea of the poem is to show the deplorable states of England, and further it is to praise Milton. So the two idea is very important. It is deplorable state of England, and another is praise of Milton by calling upon him to raise the fallen people, and in the process telling the readers what exactly he qualified to. So what type of ability Milton has here in this poem we will find. So speciality of the poem, here in this poem we will find the lost glory of England and history and past. Actually England has the glory in the past, so here we will find the lost glory of England. And here also poet expresses anger and longing for England and the return of John Milton. And London 1802 reveals both William Wordsworth moralism and his growing conversation. And Wordsworth frequently sought to communicate natural morality to his readers through his poetry. So another slide, you will find the theme of patriotism, theme of admiration, the morality and ethics, tradition and custom, literature and writing. As here in this poem, the mention of John Milton refers to literature. So another theme, patriotism. The poet here shows the patriotism because he wants to save his motherland. So this is the example of patriotism. And morality and ethics. Here also morality and ethics also available, and tradition and custom. And also you will find the literature and writing. William Wordsworth invocation of a great poet of the past, Milton, brings to mind the tradition of English poetry and represents a verse as a kind of guiding light for the people of Britain. Literature is subtly portrayed as a powerful and influential moral force in this poem, one that spares the characters of the people it tortures. So this is the indication. Moral idealism and nature. Throughout the poem, the speakers both explicitly and implicitly details a moral code in order to exemplify the reform belief in necessary for the advancement of English society. And the nature presents nature. The poem presents nature's theme when William explains the human have become corrupt, immoral, when they distance themselves from natures. So writing style, this is the sonnet. Sonnet 14 line iambic pentameter lines. So this 2 poem sonnet, and octave the first 8 line, and sestic the 6 lines. This is the rhyme scheme, and the octave and sestic rhyme scheme. So this rhyme scheme for the world is too much with us, and this rhyme scheme for London 18 and 2. So time is limited, so that is why I have to be fast. So this is the tone full of patriotism. Here the speaker expresses the bad condition of England, and he wants to save England. So this is the example of patriotism. And the sestek here, the praise and reverence of John Milton. So this is the UN questions. I think you will see this question, and this is very much helpful for your examination. Time is almost over, so that is why I have to fast. This 2 question is very important. Criticism on materialistic world and a critical appreciation of the poem London. So I think you will do it. This is the source of this today's class. So that is all for today. Hopefully you will follow my class attentively, and in the next class I will discuss on another writers. So all the best for all, and see you in the next class.